He hasn't taken the pounding that wide receivers take.
It's just a pound job, and guys are tired towards that 4 minutes.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
I would be lying to you if I said I had not heard things. They're like a bad rash. You hear a lot of things. Some are true, some aren't.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Thursday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark, fresh off a vacation. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us on a Thursday. Round number 2 of the NBA draft getting underway momentarily. I realized very quickly why the NBA turned this into a 2-night extravaganza. Well, when round 1 goes 4 hours now and didn't end till about midnight, good grief, they drew that out last night. But nevertheless, there were a lot of storylines that came out of the NBA draft. We will certainly talk about one of them locally here. I got a thought about Walter Clayton Jr., and I don't want to jump too far over the top on this thought of mine, but I'm going to lay it out for you, and we're going to talk about it here in just a moment. Speaking of the NBA draft, the Orlando Magic drafted Jason Richardson's son, Jace Richardson, out of Michigan State with the 25th pick last night. They've also made that trade for Desmond Bane. They got 2 second-round selections this evening. We will go down to Orlando, Florida in less than 15 minutes. Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel. Jason does a really good job covering the Magic down there for the Sentinel. He will join us to talk about everything going on with the Orlando Magic, from last night's pick to what they may do tonight, the Desmond Bane trade as well. So Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel, less than 15 minutes away. Our NFC West preview will continue this evening. We've already made stops in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Tomorrow night, we will be in Arizona. Tonight, it's about the Seattle Seahawks. My guy out in Seattle is Curtis Crabtree of Fox 13 Television in Seattle. He's been my Seahawk guy for a long time. Interesting offseason for the Seahawks. Geno Smith out. DK Metcalf out. Sam Darnold in. Cooper Kupp in. So they get rid of a journeyman quarterback and a all-pro caliber wide receiver. And what do? They bring in a journeyman quarterback and former all-pro wide receiver to replace them. Odd look. We'll talk to Curtis Crabtree about all of it. Remember, the Jaguars play the Seattle Seahawks here in Jacksonville in the early portion of October. Speaking of the Jaguars, Jordan DeLugo of Generation Jaguar will also stop by, as we are less than a month away. Heck, we're approaching 3 weeks away from Jaguar training camp. So we'll talk to Jordan not only about the offseason that was, about the training camp that is to come. That comes up in just a bit here on Hacker After Dark. Before we get to the big deal of the night, let me welcome back Dylan Denmark. Denmark, how was Denver, Colorado, my friend?
Mountains were, it was crazy. You get off the airport. I know you've never been to Denver Airport. You look left, and it's flat land. You look right, and you see mountains. And, being here most of my life, I've only been to Boston, Philly, and I went to Vegas for a couple of days. You never really see mountains. And being on a mountain and being out in that high altitude is a lot different than it is here.
Yeah, I'm very jealous. I've never been to Denver. And you went out to the Mile High City. You got to see a Dodger-Rocky game on Tuesday, and you got to see Ohtani go yard for the Dodgers.
Yeah, he had a pop-up his first at-bat. His second at-bat, he struck it. I'm like, is this how it's going to be? I only wanted to see one person, and you could go to a baseball game, a guy could be the best in the world at what he does, and you can just see him go 0 for 3. But luckily, he went a yard, he went opposite field in the left field, and saw Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman as well. It was a fun time out there, man.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you back. Glad you had a good time as well. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
I don't want to be too over the top about this, but I was thinking about this on the ride in. Talked about it with Frangie on the Frangie show earlier today as well. Boy, I'll tell you, I thought Joakim Noah was the most popular Gator basketball player ever, and he still may be. But I don't remember Gator fans gathering around their television watching that year's NBA draft and talking about it as much the next day as we've talked about Walter Clayton. I had Gator buddies last night that were having NBA draft parties, waiting to see where Walter Clayton Jr. got drafted. I had Gator buddies texting me immediately after they found out he was getting traded to Utah, asking when the Jazz were coming to Miami or when the Jazz were making that trip to Orlando. We obviously don't know that yet. The NBA schedule has not been released, but I was joking around with Frank, kind of joking, but I was kind of serious. As soon as that schedule comes out, I have never in my life, when an Orlando Magic schedule came out, I've never looked to see where the Utah Jazz were on that schedule. I'm going to do it this year, and I'm going to try to make it down there to see Walter Clayton Jr. and the Jazz when they come to Orlando. What is it about Walter Clayton Jr. that has made him arguably the best and arguably the most popular Gator basketball player of all time? Now, you can say, well, Hacker, he led them to a national championship. Duh. Well, yeah, he did. Absolutely. But remember Noah and Horford and Corey Brewer? I mean, they led them to 2 back-to-back. There's just something about Walter Clayton, man. Maybe it's the fact that he's from Lake Wales. Maybe it's the fact that he grew up a Gator football fan. He comes in 2 years at Florida. Nobody really thought much of him his junior year, right? He was just a guy. And then, bam, this year happens. And more importantly, the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament happen. Walter Clayton Jr. made memories for Gator fans that you will simply never forget. 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, when you have grandchildren and you're talking about Walter Clayton Jr. and the Gator basketball team in 2024 and 2025, you'll tell them about the comeback against Texas Tech or the threes against UConn or the threes against Auburn or the defensive play against Houston that might have won them the national championship game. Walter Clayton Jr., I think you could make a real argument, is the best Gator basketball player they've ever had. Certainly in the conversation. But I thought that a couple of months ago. I never thought he was the most popular. I always gave that moniker to Joakim Noah. And maybe it's recency bias. Very well could be. But in thinking more about it today and primarily in the last couple of hours here before airtime, I'm not so sure Walter Clayton Jr. hasn't surpassed Noah in popularity. Now, Joakim Noah on campus was a rock star. I don't think Walter Clayton Jr. has the cachet that Joakim Noah did as far as the on-campus vibe. I'm just talking about Gator alumni, Gator fans outside of Gainesville. Tony, I've had more people ask me about the Utah Jazz today than I ever had in my life. I mean, Frank Frangie, admittedly, is not a big NBA guy. He comes in today for his show, and he's breaking down Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton and the fact they won 17 games last year and where's Clayton going to fit into the lineup. I mean, it was really cool because I'm a diehard NBA fan. I love that stuff. I guess the unfortunate thing is, of all teams for Walter Clayton to go to, for us here in Northeast Florida, is there a more obscure team than the Utah Jazz? Probably not. If you want to watch them, you're going to have to get the league pass because the Utah Jazz aren't going to be on national television. I can tell you that right now. And maybe it's social media. Maybe it's where we are in today's world compared to where we were 18, 19 years ago when Noah was doing his thing alongside Horford and Brewer. But man, best player, most important player, you could have made that argument before now. I think the most popular player, I would have never thought Noah would be passed in popularity among Gator fans. I'm not so sure that Walter Clayton Jr. hasn't passed him in popularity. And again, maybe in 18 years we'll have somebody else. And who knows what social media will be like 2 decades from now. And we'll be having this conversation all over again. But Florida fans love themselves some Walter Clayton Jr. Love themselves some Walter Clayton Jr. They're already calling it Walt Lake City, Denmark. Instead of Salt Lake City, it's Walt Lake City.
It's on a building already.
I would imagine. He's going to be the mayor of Walt Lake City. They're going to love him out there in Utah as much as we love him here in North Florida. Denmark, you're a Gator alum. You got the orange and blue blood flowing through your veins. Is Walter Clayton maybe even more popular than Joakim Noah was among Gator fans?
No. You're being a little prisoner of the moment, I think. Walter Clayton is very popular. I think a lot of it, too, has to do with Florida has not been good in basketball. And, since they made that Final Four run about 10 years ago, very popular, but give it 2-3 years, let it, go away. We'll remember the big shots in the March Madness run he went on, but Joakim Noah was a legend, and he was there for, multiple years.
Oh, I think Walter Clayton Jr. is going to be a legend.
Yeah, I think he is too, but not to the level of Joakim Noah. That's like saying, someone's reaching the popularity of Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
That's a little hard.
Actually, I think Tim Tebow is part of this conversation because Tebow ran that campus for a large portion of the time that Noah was there. Walter Clayton Jr., I guess a little bit of DJ Lagway this year, but primarily that was his campus. Noah was kind of sharing that spotlight or was kind of in the shadow of Tebow during that time as well. And Noah also had Horford and Brewer. You can't really talk about Joakim Noah without talking about Al Horford and Corey Brewer. I don't know if you have to mention Will Richard and Elijah Martin when you mention Walter Clayton. Maybe you do.
No.
But not to the extent of Horford and Brewer with Noah.
No, the average sports fan is going to know Walter Clayton Jr., and the shots he made in March Madness, and that's going to be about it. I mean, the Gator fans obviously going to know, but, that 05-06 team, you're going to talk about the entire team, and Joakim Noah was the star and the personality. Walter Clayton, this team, it was just Walter Clayton.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. And again, I don't necessarily know if there is a right answer, but I just think it's interesting that I'm even struggling with it at this point, because I never thought Noah there would be a conversation as if to somebody was more popular inside Gator basketball fandom than Joakim Noah was during those back-to-back years. And maybe it is still Noah. I don't know. I think it's certainly worth noting that at least we're talking about Walter Clayton maybe surpassing that. And best of luck to him in Utah. That team's terrible. They won 17 games last year. By the way, 2 of those wins came against my Orlando Magic. That was a lot of fun. But we'll see what happens. I'll tell you, Gator fans' heads will explode here if they draft Elijah Martin. Utah worked out Elijah Martin twice, apparently, in the pre-draft process. We'll see what happens. Elijah Martin's expected to be drafted tonight. Will Richard, I would tend to doubt it, but you never know. Expected to be drafted tonight. Will Richard, I would tend to. No, you don't want to count the, hens before they hatch. Will Richard could potentially be drafted, but I think a lot of people expect Elijah Martin to be drafted. If he is, while we're on the air, we will certainly let you know. Speaking of the NBA draft, it was a big night for the Orlando Magic. It's already been a big offseason, right? They go out and get Desmond Bane from Memphis. Last night, remember Jason Richardson, the slam dunk champion, former Michigan State Spartan? Well, they drafted his son, Jace Richardson. He's coming to Orlando to join Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs, and the crew. Jason Beatty's one of my guys in Orlando from the Orlando Sentinel. Let's talk to Jason about that decision last night, about the offseason so far, and the offseason to come with the Orlando Magic. Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel joins us next right here on a Thursday night in Jacksonville, Florida. and we're glad you're with us on Hacker After Dark.
About time you guys got here. That pretty lady in there is causing all kinds of hell.
Wherever there's a tailgate,
You can't win!
that's where you'll find Lauren Brooks.
Will you marry me?
Nope.
Weekdays noon to 2
This is a riot.
on 1010XL.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
The SEC and the ACC will face off in Jacksonville at the 81st TaxSlayer Gator Bowl game December 27th at 7:30 p.m. Join us for Saturday Night Football in prime time at the bank. Preferred locations and pricing available now at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
Oh, no. No.
You okay in there?
Toilet's backed up. It won't flush.
Okay, I'll call the pros.
The tank isn't filling. The handle does nothing. Run for your life.
Don't be so dramatic. DuckDuckRooter will fix it.
For any plumbing issue, call DuckDuckRooter, your local plumbing professionals, and proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. DuckDuckRooter.com.
When you're stuck, call the duck.
904-862-6769.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On June 26, 1996, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Georgetown guard Allen Iverson with the number 1 pick in the NBA draft.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Where does Northeast Florida buy cars? Arlington Toyota. Mia here, and why Arlington? Selection. Arlington has over 800 new and used vehicles all in one location with everyday low prices. Plus right now, save big with 0 down and just $288 per month for a pre-owned 2023 Toyota Corolla. Or how about no payments till January 2026 and 60-day exchange. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter-mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hey, Hickett here for my friends at Zero Res. Gang, vacuuming is not sufficient to maintain the cleanliness and lifespan of your carpet, period. Do not, let me repeat, do not leave deep cleaning to yourself with do-it-yourself dirt-attracting carpet soaking machines. No. Call on the cleaning freaks from Zero Res. Big summer savings. 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129. Take 20% off hair duct cleaning as well. Call them, 904-287-5727, and ask for the 1010XL special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound and Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. As temperatures warm up around us, ants come out in droves. And when they move into your home or business, it's unnerving. Terminix knows that ants add up fast, but Terminix subtracts them faster because living with ants isn't any fun. When ants show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with an ant problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coatings. We coat it all: garages, pool decks, driveways, and patios. Be the envy of your neighbors.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The first round of the NBA draft in the books. In fact, round number 2 is getting underway momentarily. The Orlando Magic scheduled to make 2 more picks tonight. We'll see if that actually happens. They did make a selection last night with Michigan State guard Jace Richardson, the son of former NBA star Jason Richardson. You combine him with the trade of Desmond Bane, it's been a pretty active offseason for Orlando. Let's head down to Orlando, Florida. My buddy Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel does a terrific job covering the Magic, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Jason, how we doing?
I'm doing good. It was a late night last night with the Magic selecting number 25, but it was an exciting night for the organization and doing well heading into the second round.
You know, as a Magic fan, I normally wake up the morning after the draft, read the draft grades, and just get disgusted. There'll be C minuses or D pluses, or if we're lucky, maybe a C plus. Jason, basically across the board, every major outlet that covers the NBA seemingly loved this acquisition last night the Magic made with Jace Richardson.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to understand why. I mean, first off, President of Basketball Operations Jeff Weltman told us when they brought Jace in for a pre-draft workout, they thought they were going to be taking him with the number 16 pick. And then, of course, they traded for Desmond Bane, and that pick went to Memphis. But the fact that he was able to, still be on the board at 25, the Magic get him. They add a really efficient scorer, a great shooter, obviously his connection to his father in the NBA. But they're adding a really talented player that, they feel like he's going to help out with 3-point shooting in the future. And I think it's a really great fit. And I think that's why a lot of people, around the league like the fit.
I remember watching him during the regular season, some in the tournament as well. There's no doubt he can shoot the ball, Jason. There's no doubt he's got the family genes. His mother played basketball as well, and, of course, his dad was Jason Richardson. But he is only 6'1". How much of a concern is that?
Yeah, he is 6'1", and I think he was actually the shortest prospect picked in the first round last night. But Jeff was quick to point out that he has a 6'6" wingspan. The Magic love players with big wingspans, and you look at that height, and then a lot of fans thought, well, that's not exactly the prototypical Magic player they've taken the last few years. You look at Tristan Da Silva and Anthony Black, and it's these really versatile, tall guys that. Even going back to Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, both 6'10" guys that can do a lot of things. And this is a little bit of a different pick, but I think the reason they're able to make that type of pick is because they know what they need, and that's shooting. And that's what Jace Richardson offers. And, you mentioned his 1 year at Michigan State. He got better as the year went on, especially when he was inserted into the starting lineup. You look at his normal stats, he only averaged a little over 12 points, but when he was inserted into that starting lineup, it jumped up to 16.1 points, and he was able to help Michigan State to the Elite Eight. And so, we know that the Magic like players who have success in the tournament, and He is on the shorter side, but I think, you're able to get away with that when you look at the pieces around him.
Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel covering the Orlando Magic with us here on 1010XL. The similarities are hilarious. They trade Cole Anthony a week and a half ago. Cole Anthony, whose father played in the NBA, was maybe an undersized guard and was thought to be a very good shooter coming into the NBA. And they replaced Cole Anthony with Jace Richardson, maybe an undersized guard whose father played in the NBA, who's thought to be a great shooter. I mean, the similarities are crazy there, are they not?
No, it is really interesting. But here's the thing. I think Jace has, more of an upside. At this point, Cole Anthony is who he is. And I think Jace is actually a little bit, he was talking about in the pre-draft process, he was trying to prove to teams that he can play at the one, whether he plays at the one or the two. It is interesting how similar that is. But I think they really like his ceiling and what he can do in the future. And, it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in the NBA as a smaller player. But, again, he doesn't have to play on the ball. He doesn't have to – they're not going to have to run plays for him. His ability to play off of Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and some of the other guys on the team, Desmond Bane now, he's going to be able to be in a position where he's going to be getting open shots, or at least that's the idea.
Of course, Cole Anthony was part of the Desmond Bane trade. Anthony and KCP plus 4 first-round picks to Memphis for Desmond Bane. Jason, I haven't talked to you since that trade. What was your reaction? What's been the reaction in Orlando about the arrival of Desmond Bane?
I think there was some sticker shock at first, that number of 4 first-round picks. But I think that it comes with a lot of context. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope isn't getting any younger. He has a lot of money owed over the next 2 years. So to get off of his contract, was probably worth a pick in itself. And the idea that they're trading the 28 pick and the 30 pick in the future, those picks are probably going to be later in the rounds if the Magic's plan, goes according to plan as they see it. So there was some sticker shock, but I think he is a really good fit. You talk about Jace Richardson. Desmond Bane is obviously, in the middle of his prime. And the other big thing about him is he's under contract for the next 4 years. So they got contract control with him. Desmond was actually thrilled. He told us that when he first found out he was traded, there was a moment of angst. His heart sank. He didn't know where he was going to be going. And when he found out he was headed to Orlando, he was really happy. So I think it's a really good fit. And, Jeff Weltman talked about if you were to design a player and insert him into the Magic lineup right now, it would be Desmond Bane because of his three-point shooting ability, because of his ability to create his own shot. And he's a really solid defender as well.
The idea of a starting 5 of Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter, that looks pretty good, Jason, in an East that Tyrese Halliburton, Jason Tatum, and Damian Lillard, all 3 of which likely won't even be playing next year because of Achilles injuries. What about what's next for Orlando? They don't have a lot of room left to make signings. I think they got 2 mid-level exceptions, right? Are we expecting any other free agent moves from them when the market opens up on July 6th?
Yeah, they have a couple club options they have to make decisions about this weekend. Mo Wagner has the team option on Sunday. Caleb Houston has an option on Monday. If they decline those options, they'll become free agents with the opportunity to, re-sign new deals with the club. So they do have some flexibility if they want to open up. But you're right, the roster spots are filling up quickly. And, of course, we're going to see what they do in the second round tonight. They have 2 second-round draft picks, and they haven't used their second-round picks in the past, the last 4 out of the last 5 years. I mentioned Caleb Houston earlier. He was the one second-round pick they've kept over the last few years. But in the new CBA and the new era of aprons and whatnot, second-round picks are pretty valuable. It's the opportunity for a team to add a cap-friendly player in that sense. So still a couple more decisions to make, but they're going to, potentially have a spot to, add maybe a veteran guard of some sort in free agency.
You got to figure out a way to keep Mo Wagner on the team, do you not?
Yeah, I think so. I think, even if they decline the option, which is something they've done in the past with him, maybe they get him on a 3-year deal with, you're not making as much money per year, but maybe over the course of the deal, that just makes a lot of sense as an opportunity to, bring him back. And obviously, I think a lot of people think of Mo as just, Franz's brother or just an energy guy, but he's really important to this team. I mean, we saw when he went down how that changed with the second unit. I mean, he is the 6th man of the year candidate, and he does a lot for Orlando. So yeah, absolutely. I think bringing him back is going to be a huge factor for the Magic.
Final moments, Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel. We saw extensions last summer for Wagner and Suggs. We should obviously be expecting an extension this summer for Banchero, correct?
Yeah, that's going to be the easiest decision the Magic make this summer, and that was something that it should be coming July 6th. We'll find out here, over the next couple of weeks, and yeah, that's a no-brainer. It's going to be a max rookie extension. That's the expectation, and there's no doubt in my mind that they'll get that done.
Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel. Jason, as we say goodbye, back to the point about the Eastern Conference. Orlando's made back-to-back playoff runs, got knocked out in the first round, but obviously they're in a win-now mode. That's why you do what you did for Desmond Bane, Banchero, Wagner. Look, the basketball powers that be have to have some sympathy on the Magic injury-wise after your 2-star players both tear their obliques within 6 weeks of one another. You would expect this year, if things even out a little bit, that the Magic should hopefully be a little healthy. What about Suggs, by the way? How is he doing in his rehab?
Yeah, when we spoke with Jeff after they acquired Desmond Bane, we asked about Jalen and Mo. Actually, he's recovering as well. Both are progressing really well. Jalen expects to be ready for the start of next season. But when you talk about the East, it is really wide open, and it is unfortunate how we got to this point, given Halliburton's injury in Game 7 and Jason Tatum's same injury as well in the playoffs, and even looking at the Bucks with Damian Lillard and that situation. So it is an opportunity for Orlando. I think the expectations should be high for Orlando. I think it's also important to remember that this is a team that, let alone a first-round series the last 2 years, they haven't won a playoff game on the road yet. So, this team still has to go through a lot to get to that point. But I think they know themselves that, another first-round exit would be disappointing. And so they have high expectations for themselves, just like fans should as well.
Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel. Jason, I know you're busy getting ready for round 2. That's already underway right now. We certainly appreciate you. Get back to work, and we'll talk again soon, bud.
Thanks so much. I appreciate the time.
And thank you to Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel. It's a good thing we couldn't do that live because he's going to be covering the draft tonight that already started. We recorded that about an hour ago, roughly, which is a great thing because Orlando traded their 2 picks to move up. They traded 46 and 57. They moved up to 32, and within the last 5 or so minutes, they take a young man, Noah Penda, I believe is his name, from France. Absolutely no idea about this guy, but he was one of the highest rated players left in round number 2. He played internationally in France last year, just turned 20 years old in January, a 6'7" forward, 7-foot wingspan, averaged 14 points and 7 rebounds. So the Magic draft is likely done. Jace Richardson last night, trade up to take this young man from France, Noah Penda tonight. We'll see if Elijah Martin, the Gator, can go tonight. Perhaps Will Richard later on tonight as the second round of the NBA draft is underway. And again, thank you to Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. We're never going to get too far away from the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is, what is today, June 26th. We're roughly 3 weeks away. We have 3 weeks from Saturday away from the rookies reporting to training camp. We're about 3.5 weeks or so until on-the-field work beginning at training camp. Let's talk about Jaguar training camp. Let's review the offseason that was, and let's do all that with my buddy Jordan DeLugo of Generation Jaguar. He joins me next. Position battles in camp. Travis Hunter, thoughts about the roster, thoughts about what they may need to do to tinker with the roster leading up to the beginning of camp. We'll cover all of it. Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar, joins us next on a Thursday here in Northeast Florida. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
I did not see this one coming.
Radio play-by-play is like stepping in a theater in your mind.
As good as it gets.
1010XL, Jacksonville's home for play-by-play.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal. Pretty nice weather we're having, huh?
You think this is nice?
I mean, it's sunny, warm. We do live in Florida.
It's not all upside, Jason. Warm weather comes, so all the cool people hit the beach. My old air conditioner craps out, so it's 1,000 degrees inside, and I'm stuck on a video call in my underpants trying not to sweat through my...
Wait. Put these sunglasses on.
I'm not going to put on your...
Whoa. The air conditioning experts at Bueller Air and Plumbing can keep your home office cool and comfortable all summer long. You look good in your meeting, impress the big guy with your cool confidence, maybe finally make assistant deputy regional manager.
Wow, air conditioning can do that?
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all summer worried the weather is going to be too nice, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway for all your outdoor living needs. Let them show you how a durable paver driveway can enhance your home. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Registration is now open for the Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament. Over $250,000 in cash and prizes available, with payouts up to 20 places. Of course, there's great prizes for lady anglers, and bring along your junior anglers as well. Register today at kingfishtournament.com. Even if you're not on the water, spectators will enjoy fun exhibits, food, kids' activities, and a fireworks display at the Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament.
Let PGA pros straighten your morning drive with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser on Brunch with the Tour, Tuesday morning at 8:30 on 1010XL. Teed up by Apex Roofing and Contracting and Clearwater Irrigation. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is thrilled to announce you can get all of their flavors and original vodka at PJ Liquors in St. Augustine. PJ Liquors, since 1999, has been serving up summertime fun. Now enjoy Brackish Vodka, the #1 local vodka in North Florida. Brackish Vodka is the first clean craft vodka, and you can find their 9 flavors at PJ Liquors. Brackish Vodka, for whatever your sport is. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Guys, your lawn's the home field. Now you can champion your St. Augustine grass. TopDressing.com just hit Jacksonville with a game-changing patented process. Aerate and transform your turf into a fairway-worthy masterpiece. Less water, shorter cuts, and the envy of every neighbor. No one else delivers a perfect 10 lawn like this. Visit TopDressing.com and dominate your block with the same process that golf courses use. Top dress your lawn like the pros with TopDressing.com.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
What is the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth? The answer next.
There's always a good reason to compare homeowners' insurance rates. You may be paying too much. Protect your home with a Southern Oak insurance policy today.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The coldest temperature ever recorded was in Antarctica in July of 1983. An unbelievably cold minus 128.6 degrees.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold's recently hit an all-time high at over $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Yo, it's your main man E.T. here for Explore Clay. And Clay County is your destination this 4th of July. Start the morning with the Freedom 5K in Keystone Heights. Medals for the first 300 finishers and a scenic course through the shaded neighborhoods. Then enjoy the 57th annual celebration at City Hall with vendors, live music, and family fun. Wrap up the day at Moose Haven in Orange Park for the American Pride 4th of July, a free riverside event with food, live entertainment, and fireworks over the St. Johns River. Discover more at exploreclay.com.
If life blindsided you tomorrow, was your family struggle? I'm Cody with Harborstone Financial, and I can help. One call could protect your family for life. 904-885-9566. Harborstone Financial.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. All of a sudden, we are now inside of 1 month away from Jaguar training camp. The rookies report on the 19th of July. The veterans report on the 22nd. And I believe the first practice then will be held on July the 23rd. Let's review the offseason that was. Let's look ahead to the training camp that will be with my buddy Jordan DeLugo. Generation Jaguars, where you find his work. And Jordan's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Jordan, how you doing?
Doing very well. Excited to talk some Jags football during this, dead period, as it's known, with these 5 or so weeks in between minicamp and training camp. But yeah, fired up to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a quiet period, or so we thought, and then Travis Hunter signs his contract, which this offseason, Jordan, you've covered the team for a while now, man. I've made this point. I've been lucky enough to do this for the better part of 23 years, and even going back to the inception back in 1995, there have been some wild off seasons in Jaguar history. But I don't know if we've ever had an off season where literally, I'm not sure, a week or two has gone by in the last 5 months where something of note did not happen.
Yeah, that's so true. And at least for the last several months, almost all of it has been positive news for the most part. So that's been kind of a change up. Usually you have something wild happening in the wrong direction, or at least a lot of times you have. But yeah, it's been kind of a historic offseason for a lot of reasons, especially in the Shad Khan era of Jaguars football, kind of really remaking and changing the direction of the front office and the entire football organization. Such a 180 from what it was just a few months ago.
You and I haven't spoke since the beginning of OTAs. Look, it is what it is. It's helmets and shorts. But for what it was, what was your mile-high view about the roster heading into training camp?
Yeah, I think overall it is improved. I think that it's very easy for a new regime to come in and try to tear everything down. I think one thing that they did here with this new group, James Gladstone, Tony Baselli, Liam Cohen, they kept most of the good players in place, right? You didn't see them just having a fire sale on all the players that they could to try to rebuild this team in their own image completely, because I think that they see value and they see players that were already here that can buy into and help elevate their system that they're trying to bring in here and the culture they're trying to bring in here. So I think that was a huge part of it. Keeping the franchise pillars in place, then adding guys in free agency that they have connections to, feel comfortable with, a couple guys here and there that really elevate things. A lot of the guys are kind of floor raisers. And then in the draft, making the swing for the fences. I think the roster's in a pretty good spot. A lot of that kind of does hinge on Travis Hunter being who we expect him to be on both sides of the ball. But then the question marks for me I think you look at the interior of the offensive line. I think you have workable pieces. I don't think you have anybody that you view, except maybe outside of Wyatt Milam, if he earns the job, as, maybe a upper echelon, potentially interior offensive lineman. I think it's pretty average in there, and that can be a problem at certain times against certain opponents. I would say you look at the safety room. Eric Murray is kind of a stopgap option. You brought in Caleb Ransaw in the 3rd round. How quickly can he assimilate and get into the lineup? Those are the two groups I look at, and I kind of have the most questions about maybe the ceiling. But overall, I really think the roster's in a good spot.
Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar. It's interesting you brought up those two positions. So I look ahead to training camp, Jordan, and I agree. Offensive line and safety, to me, are going to be two of the most compelling positions from a 53-man roster standpoint. I mean, do all 6 of the new offensive linemen, the 4 free agents and the 2 draft picks, do all of those guys make the team? And if they do, what does that mean for, Luke Fortner, Javon Foster, Cole Van Lanen, among others? And then I look at safety. Daniel Thomas and Dewey Wingard, outstanding special teams guys, and I think this new staff likes Dewey at safety as well. At least it appears they do. And you mentioned Ransaw, Murray. Don't forget, obviously, Antonio Johnson, Darnell Savage. I think Jordan's safety and offensive line, there's some real position battles there that are going to happen in training camp.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously, they've talked about Anton Harrison just needing to kind of turn it on more consistently. I think internally they want it to be Anton Harrison and Walker Little at tackle, but they don't want to just give the job to Anton Harrison. They want him to earn it and be more consistent with his effort, I believe. So that's going to be really fascinating to watch. There's no question that he is the most talented right tackle on the team and probably the most talented offensive lineman in general across the board on the roster. But he's got to earn it. He's got to want it. So that's a big deal there. If Chuma Edoga is on the field for the Jaguars during the regular season and Anton Harrison is healthy, to me, that is a problem. That is a big problem. Harrison's a really talented young player. He's got to be out there. They've got to figure out the best way to get the most out of him. I think they're trying to do that right now. But yeah, Luke Fortner's so interesting because he was a fairly high draft pick, day 2 pick, obviously of a former regime, but he does have the connection to Liam Cohen, right? Liam Cohen coached him in college, so they have a connection there. So will he be able to make the football team? They drafted a center in the 7th round. Obviously, Patrick McCary has the ability to play center if they need him to do that as well. So there's a lot of different things there. And then Javon Foster, a 4th round pick just a year ago, might be not long for the roster based on the way things look, as you pointed out. So that is going to be something to watch. And then at safety, like you mentioned, there are so many names that somebody's not going to make the team, right? I do think that Dewey is in a good spot. I think he'll be on the team. I think I would think Darnell Savage is on the team just because he has kind of that versatility to play safety, play nickel, move around, do a lot of different things for you. But I think Antonio Johnson, Daniel Thomas, 2 guys that are really good on special teams. Antonio Johnson entering last offseason, people thought he was going to be a shoo-in to be a starter and do a good job for them, and that didn't happen. So safety, there's a lot of depth. You don't know how the top-end guys, the starters, will perform in 2025, but we're going to find out soon enough.
Couple of more for Jordan DeLugo of Generation Jaguar. Jordan, again, helmets and shorts, but it's all we have to go on right now. Your OTAs, minicamp, rookie minicamp, your observations to this point of first-round pick Travis Hunter.
I think he looks fantastic, and I know there's it kind of died down a little bit, but early on, those critiques of his route running ability, which I thought was just absolutely laughable.
That was national guys looking for clicks. I didn't understand that either. I thought it was ridiculous. And people, national folks, take videos that you shoot and others in the media, our colleagues shoot, and they critique this and critique that. Yeah, I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he looks, just like, to be able to play both sides of the ball, you have to have the mental and physical energy to do it. So far, it doesn't look like there's any question about either of those things. You have to have the mental capacity and energy, and then the physical ability and energy. And it seems like he's just, the Energizer Bunny in terms of how much intensity, effort, energy he can bring to both the practice field and the meeting rooms. And so that's one of the biggest parts of it, is being able to do that. Because we know he has the physical talent. There's no question about that, both as an athlete and from a skill standpoint. So I think he's been unbelievable.
All the talk about Travis Hunter, and yet you and I were there at minicamp when Brian Thomas Jr. went down, and for those 2 minutes roughly, we didn't know the severity of it. Thankfully, he got up, walked off the field. William Cohen said it was a shoulder. He was back at practice the very next day. But that really put in perspective for me, Jordan, all the talk about Hunter and Lawrence and all these guys we talk about every day. I'm not so sure Brian Thomas Jr. is the most important person on this team outside of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, and I actually did a show about the most important players of 2025 for the Jags. I think I had Brian Thomas Jr. at 3. He's vital for the offense. Trevor Lawrence, obviously the most important piece, the quarterback, the most important position in the sport. I had Tyson Campbell up there as well, and the reason being is if Tyson Campbell is not out there, who's starting? Outside corner, right? At least
his name would be Travis Hunter, probably in that situation, right?
Right, and so you have Travis. Who else would be starting? I mean, Buster Brown? I don't know. So I think either way, you cannot afford to not have Brian Thomas Jr. and Tyson Campbell for any extended period of time.
You look at some of the other situations this offseason, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, we talk about the offensive line. I want to talk about Trevor Lawrence in a moment. Let's go to running back, though. Do you believe that there will be a competition for running back 1 between Bigsby and Etienne?
I honestly think that they will be game plan dependent. I think when you look up at the end of the season, if everybody's healthy, which obviously that's not how it goes usually, but if everybody's relatively healthy, I think Etienne ends up with the most touches because I think they can just utilize him in so many more different ways in space and in the passing game. It wouldn't be surprising to me if they have a very similar amount of attempts of rushes, but I think Etienne is on the field more and touches the football more. He is so dynamic. People forget before 2024 when the coaches lost confidence in him and seemingly themselves, he was incredible for 2 straight years. And now he's not perfect in terms of vision and all that stuff, but his ability to bust off long runs and to just accelerate through the hole and in space, I think that they're going to really have a good time getting the ball in Travis Etienne's hands.
Final moments with Jordan DeLugo. Jordan, quickly, because I want to end with a general roster question. Obviously, 2025 is a gigantic year for Trevor Lawrence, correct?
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's interesting. It's a gigantic year for him from a perception standpoint. Obviously, he already got his contract, and that extension doesn't even start for another couple years, so or till next year. I don't think that there's any urgency within the building in terms of he has to prove that he can do this, because I think he's proven to the people that matter that he can do it. But from a perception standpoint, there's no question this is a huge year.
Jordan, leave us with this. For fans that have not been out to the Miller Electric Center yet, that are planning on going out to training camp, give us somebody, or if you want to name numerous people, whatever you want to do, somebody that's caught your eye that maybe fans are not talking about, whether that's an undrafted free agent, a guy that was a veteran that just hasn't gotten a lot of acclaim. Who do fans need to know about heading into training camp that maybe is under the radar?
That is a really good question. It's obviously Dyami has gotten some pub and he's been unbelievable. Dyami Brown so far, it feels like the connection he and Trevor built very quickly on the practice field was huge. Now that will be tested even more once pads come on, right? But Dyami Brown's been really good. I think that Buster Brown, speaking of another Brown, he's played very well on the defensive side of the ball and been somebody that maybe they rely on even more than some fans would expect. just based on the fact that it's a new regime. They brought in a lot of different pieces, what have you. But I think that he's been playing pretty well. And this is the type of defense that I do think suits his skill set a little bit better than what you had last year. So Buster Brown, De'Ami Brown, trying to think of I really don't see a lot of potential for guys that are not known to like be making a ton of plays for this team. And I think that's a good thing, right? Like you don't necessarily want these young, unheralded, unknown guys to have to come in and play very often. I don't think that that's going to be the case very much for the Jaguars this year.
60 seconds, kind of the opposite question to that. And you've listed a couple of guys already. The veteran on this team that's played some football in a Jaguar uniform that might be in the most trouble to make the 53-man roster.
I think you can look at the offensive line potentially, but I mean, obviously Fortner is in trouble, but I don't think that's a surprise to anyone.
I think it's Fortner versus Monheim, right? Straight up for that backup center spot.
Yeah, it could be, and they might not keep either of them. Like you could stash Monheim probably on the practice squad because he's, historically short arms and smaller, and just, you could probably stash him and just have him as, the third guy behind. Like you can slide McCary in there, no problem, if there's an injury at center, right? And then you have Wyatt Milam and you have Ezra Cleveland. You can figure that out at guard. So, yeah, I think that Fortner, even though he has the connection with Liam Cohen, is definitely somebody to watch. Obviously they moved on from Gabe Davis already. That would have been one to watch. I think interior defensive linemen, Eric Armstead and Devon Hamilton, who didn't have great years last year for different reasons. I think they're both fine. I don't see any issues there. Could Chad Muma be trying to fight for a roster spot here this year? I think that's something to watch. Somebody who was a third-round pick in the same draft class as Luke Fortner. But they've added a lot of linebackers over the years. Chad Muma is obviously not a starter. They draft Jack Kaiser in the 4th round this year. That's one to watch, I think.
Jordan, tell us about Generation Jaguar and the coverage you guys will have leading up to training camp.
Yeah, it's always an interesting time to try to produce high-quality content during the dead period of the NFL season. But I think we'll do a lot of deep dives into the position groups and obviously cover any news that comes out. And we will be looking at all these different lists and rankings and breaking those down as well that come out from across the web. So that'll kind of be the plan over the next month.
Jordan DeLugo of Generation Jaguar. Jordan, enjoy the downtime. I'll see you out there at training camp in about a month.
Absolutely. Look forward to it, Hacker.
When you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
1010XL.
Get that through your head. Again.
1010XL.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
The Peace Lily is so last year. Hey, has anyone worked with Fiddlenecks?
Shelby's popular flower shop is in full bloom.
We just got a request for an arrangement that evokes air. Who's up for that challenge? No?
She needs to hire a floral designer to nip foliage faux pas in the bud.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or matt-jacksonville.com.
Where does Northeast Florida buy cars? Arlington Toyota. Why Arlington? Selection. Arlington has over 800 new and used vehicles all in one location with everyday low prices. Plus, right now you choose a pre-owned 2023 Camry, RAV4, Tacoma for $0 down and only $388 per month. Or how about no payments till January 2026? Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter-mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens. Also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hey, Hickett here for my friends at Zero Res. Gang, vacuuming is not sufficient to maintain the cleanliness and lifespan of your carpet, period. Do not, let me repeat, do not leave deep cleaning to yourself with do-it-yourself dirt-attracting carpet soaking machines. No. Call on the cleaning freaks from Zero Res. Big summer savings. 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129. Take 20% off air duct cleaning as well. Call them, 904-287-5727, and ask for the 1010XL special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Denny Thompson here. You gotta check out Tyson's Showroom Home Theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. I can stay there to watch all my games. It's that comfortable. Call Tyson today and bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 US Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. As temperatures warm up around us, ants come out in droves. And when they move into your home or business, it's unnerving. Terminix knows that ants add up fast, but Terminix subtracts them faster because living with ants isn't any fun. When ants show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with an ant problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a slip and slide gone wrong? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This just in on Hacker After Dark.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Congratulations to Elijah Martin. We saw Walter Clayton Jr. of the national champion Florida Gator basketball team get drafted last night by Washington, ultimately traded to Utah. Elijah Martin is the 9th pick in the second round tonight, drafted by the Toronto Raptors. So Elijah Martin to Toronto, Walter Clayton Jr. to Utah. I don't expect Will Richard to be drafted. I guess he could be in the latter stages of the second round. I do think Will Richard will catch on and play summer league basketball somewhere, but pretty cool that Elijah Martin just gets drafted 39th overall by Toronto. That, of course, is after Walter Clayton went 18th overall, ultimately ending up in Utah. And by the way, it's been quite the run here in round 2. Johni Broome, that Johni Broome from Auburn, was drafted 35th overall by the Philadelphia 76ers. How about Chaz Lanier, former UNF Osprey, transferred to Tennessee, was, well, quite frankly, sensational for the Volunteers. He went 37th overall to the Detroit Pistons. So Johni Broome, 35 to Philly, Chaz Lanier, 37 to Detroit, and Elijah Martin, 39 to Toronto. I got to be honest, Denmark, I'm not used to an NBA draft, particularly in round 2, where we can relate to a lot of these guys. We know a lot of these guys, but that's quite the run there with Johni Broome, Chaz Lanier, and Elijah Martin all going within a 6-pick stretch.
Yeah, usually I know the first guy. I might know one other person, and then I'm usually out. Last night I stayed up and watched until Walter Clayton got picked, and now I know a couple of these guys. So, well, a lot of it too is I did watch a lot more SEC basketball this year, so I guess that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, when the Gators are good, no question, we tend to pay more attention to things around that Florida program, including the Southeastern Conference. Coming up next, we're going to go out to Seattle. My buddy Curtis Crabtree of Fox 13 in Seattle as our NFC West preview continues. We've already made stops in a couple of destinations this week. Tomorrow night, Arizona. Tonight, we will go to Seattle. Again, Geno Smith, DK Metcalf out. Cooper Kupp, Sam Darnold in. Doesn't appear to be a rebuild in Seattle, maybe a retooling. Keep in mind the Seahawks will come here week 6 of the regular season to play the Jaguars. So our NFC West preview will continue with Curtis Crabtree out in Seattle. At the bottom of the hour, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark, as we are inside of 2 months till the beginning of college football. And we are only about 3 weeks away now from the Southeastern Conference Media Days. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us on a Thursday night here on Hacker After Dark. Let's go to Seattle, Washington. Curtis Crabtree is my guy when it comes to the Seahawks. Fox 13 as our NFC West preview continues next right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Wherever you go, there we are.
I know. I checked online.
1010XL is on your smartphone and tablet. Download our free app for all devices and take us with you around Duval and around the world.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Got a leaky faucet, AC blowing hot air, a funky smelling septic tank? No worries, Duck Rooter has your back. We're your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning, so you can stop juggling 3 companies and just make one easy call. Our expert techs are fast, friendly, and really know their ducks. I mean stuff. Call 904-862-6769 or visit DuckDuckRooter.com. Duck Rooter, plumbing, septic, AC, and a whole lot of quacking good service.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Canines for Warriors provides veterans with lifelong companions in one of their highly trained service dogs. If you know a veteran who could benefit from a companion or simply want to support, visit caninesforwarriors.org.
Your love can give pets a purpose. To adopt a loving animal from the Jacksonville Humane Society, call 725-8766.
Having a mentor can positively change a young life right here in Jacksonville. It only takes 4 to 7 hours a month to be a big brother or big sister and change a life forever. Become a big today at bbbsnefl.org.
There is a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating to a local blood donation center.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010xl.com.
Frank Franzi here for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville's full of memorable sports moments. Remember Tiger Woods' 60-foot putt on the iconic 17th? Gary Coate called it better than most. Better than most. Well, Coil Fencing is better than most. They're better than all. Coil has been that for nearly 100 years. So if you're in the market for a new fence, I recommend calling Coil & Sons today. That's at 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On June 26, 1996, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Georgetown guard Allen Iverson with the #1 pick in the NBA draft.
At Tucker Equipment Rental in Neptune Beach, you just don't rent quality machines, you rent quality customer service. Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Dave. Tucker Equipment Rental has been supplying Jacksonville with equipment and event rental for over 50 years.
From commercial and homeowner projects, we've got what you need: lifts, dirt equipment, and landscape equipment.
And don't forget about event rentals, from festivals to weddings to backyard barbecues.
Local, knowledgeable, and always ready to help.
Tucker Equipment Rentals.
You need it, we've got it. Come see us.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local women-owned solar company. At Clay Solar, we're more than just panels and power. We're about people. We make the switch to clean energy simple, stress-free, and built to last. If you've had a bad experience with solar in the past, we can help. We specialize in dependable solutions and top-notch customer service, so you can finally enjoy the savings and sustainability you deserve. Schedule your free consultation at claysolar.com.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark is your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game and kids round the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jumboshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Affordable family fun.
Hi, folks. Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Ever wonder what to do with leftover paint that you don't want? Here's a few options. Paint can be placed in the regular trash if it's dry. Simply stir in kitty litter to a thick consistency. Then wait a few days with the lid off till it dries. Also, if the paint is good, there's many charities or churches that would love to have it. If you'd like more tips or have a project, we'd love to help. Go to performance-painting.com. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. One division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. This week, it's all about the NFC West. We will make stops in San Francisco. We will make stops in Los Angeles, in Arizona as well. Tonight, it's all about the Seattle Seahawks. Brand new quarterback in Seattle, changing of the guard at wide receiver receiver, right? Really interesting offseason for the Seahawks. Our guy up in Seattle is Curtis Crabtree of Fox 13, and Curtis is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Curtis, how you doing?
I'm good. How's it going?
Curtis, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. All right, we'll break down the individual stuff in a moment, but I would say a very active offseason for you up there in Seattle with some of the moves the Seahawks made.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, last year was the coaching change and kind of a regime change on that front. They've definitely changed over the offense quite a bit this offseason at a number of key spots. So it's definitely a different look to the roster overall. And they keep, pushing to find a way to get over that hump and get back to the playoffs after a couple of years of just missing out by about a half game or so. So they're a good football team. They're just struggling to find a way to be a great football team again and get back into the playoffs. And that's why some of these moves happened this offseason.
Well, obviously the big move was Sam Darnold, Geno Smith gone, Sam Darnold in. The reaction of the Seahawk fans about the arrival of Sam Darnold.
It's mixed because, there's some fans that no matter how good the numbers spoke the last couple of years, still thought that Geno Smith was absolute garbage and they needed to move on and find a different quarterback, and some of those fans are happy. Others that did look at what Geno Smith did and said, there's a really good quarterback here. Yeah, he has, an issue every now and again, but, he's actually pretty dang productive, looks and says, I don't know that Sam Darnold's any better. So it's kind of a give and take on that front as to how the fan base is viewing the quarterback change and what that's going to mean for them this summer, with Sam Darnold's coming obviously off the best season of his career. But before that, it was, fairly unsustainable at times in his different spots across the way. And now it's a matter of, can he repeat that in a new situation in Seattle again? With an offensive line that has been a problem for years, and that's an area of the team that struggled late in the year in Minnesota for him last year. The number of sacks he took at the playoff game, for instance, comes to mind, and just whether it's going to be the right fit for them to get where they want to go this season. So it's a very mixed kind of response to the change of the quarterback spot here in Seattle, and I think everybody's curious to see what it's actually going to look like.
Well, what's interesting to me, and again, there's a lot of moves I want to talk about individually, but when you say Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett out, you think, well, they're in the midst of a rebuild. But then they spend decent money on Sam Darnold. They spend big money on DeMarcus Lawrence. It was kind of confusing watching it from afar.
Well, they're not a team that's close enough to being like in need of a rebuild. They've got a lot of talent on this team. They've been beating on the door of the playoffs the last couple of years, have just missed out on it. The year before they made it and lost to San Francisco when they were pretty banged up. So it's not a bad football team. They're not, so far away from being a good roster, on a playoff competing level to be like, we need to strip all of this down. That's not kind of where they're at as a unit right now. So it's definitely a restructure of the team. And, whether, Tyler Lockett's contract was going to be untenable given the stage of his career and where the number was at. And DK Metcalf didn't want to come back to Seattle this year and was looking to move somewhere else. And similarly, Geno Smith's contract demands were beyond what Seattle was going to be comfortable with. So once they found out where that was going to go, they're like, we need to change paths this year. And I think found a pretty good solution in Sam Darnold, at least in the short-term situation. You still wonder if they can find the quarterback of the future, whether Jalen Milroe can potentially develop into that sort of thing. That's probably the biggest question that still remains out there, but it's still a talented roster. Mike McDonald's defense last year was quite good, especially the second half of the season. They've added to that, as you mentioned, with DeMarcus Lawrence and such. They're hoping for more out of Byron Murphy in the second year of his career. So, there's a lot to like on the roster. Whether it's enough, I think, is still left to be seen, but that's why they're not looking to, tear down, rebuild, or anything like that.
Curtis Crabtree, Fox 13 in Seattle, as our NFC West preview continues this week. Tonight, focusing on the Seattle Seahawks. We talk about the departures of Lockett and Metcalf. Of course, the arrival of Cooper Kupp. There was a lot of Cooper Kupp talk here in Jacksonville because of Liam Cohen and James Gladstone. Ultimately, Kupp goes to Seattle, and Seattle paid a pretty penny to get Cooper Kupp from L.A. What was the reaction of Kupp's arrival?
I think a lot of fans up here liked it because he is a somewhat local product from going to Eastern Washington University, being from the east side of the state. He grew up a Seahawks fan, so there's obviously some sentimental ties to him that people really like to have. And, I think everybody knows that Cooper Kupp, as a healthy football player, is still incredibly productive. The question is, how healthy can he remain throughout a full season at this point in his career? And that's, going to be, that remains to be seen. But, the addition in general, I think fans were excited for. I don't know that he can peak out like anywhere close to his really top seasons with the Rams, but there's still a good football player there for sure. And the question is, can Sam Darnold be the one to kind of effectively get him the ball to keep him producing at a level anywhere close to what he's been with the Rams here?
You mentioned Jalen Milroe, obviously a guy we're very familiar with here in the southeastern part of the country. By all indications, again, from watching it from afar, OTAs, rookie minicamp, Milroe was doing some nice things. How has he looked to you so far?
He's done a few nice things in his athleticism there. I think he's full on headed for a redshirt season. I think everybody kind of understands that. Like, I'm sure he's going to contribute with some packages here and there, get on the field a little bit and everything. But I do think it's going to take him some time to develop to the NFL game and adapt to that. And I think his accuracy probably needs to get a touch better, and his footwork needs to get a little bit better in the pocket, and all of those, kind of fine detail things you just can't get away with at the NFL level. But the arm strength is clearly enough. He sounds like an NFL quarterback from day one. Like, the presence is 100% an NFL quarterback. Now he's just got to be able to put the rest of his skill package together to be able to become that kind of piece in the NFL. And I do think it will take him some time to do so. But they're curious to see what they got in him. We haven't seen him use his athleticism much. Obviously, it's pretty controlled practices during OTAs and minicamp and such. So we haven't really seen that on display yet per se. And that's a big part of his game. So I'm not expecting a Russell Wilson, Matt Flynn situation here to kind of repeat like from 2012 where he jumps up as a third-round pick and steals the starting job. That's not going to happen here. But as a developmental prospect, it's as good a option as any to take a flyer on a skill set like his to see if he can become a guy for the future that you can really kind of rely on.
We talk about Sam Darnold. We talk about Cooper Kupp. You got Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I mean, how would you assess the skill talent on the Seahawks offense coming into the year?
I think it's good. I don't know that it's absolutely outstanding. I don't think Zach Charbonnet should be short-shifted in that regard at all. I think particularly with the kind of running game that they're going to go to, I think that might even suit his game a little bit better than Ken Walker's, even though Walker might be the superior runner when all things are kind of considered. But the biggest question about the offensive side of this team continues to be, can they block? Pass block, run block, all of it. Like, the offensive line, like, I don't know if I've seen a fan base more excited to draft a left guard than the Seahawks were when they took Gray Zabel back in April. I mean, this is a team that desperately needs to be better on the offensive line. I know last year they were really unhappy with the coaching they got from that side of the football and on the line of scrimmage. They're hoping that the Clint Kubiak, John Benton kind of tandem there can really get them playing at a higher standard, that they can get more out of their young pieces that they have invested quite a bit of draft capital to at that area to be better, because the skill talent is good enough, but it needs to have time and space to work. And that's where the offensive line issues continue to be the biggest question around this team. I think entering the season, they've got some good pieces up there. Abe Lucas is a really strong right tackle when he's healthy. Charles Cross has been good, not phenomenal as a left tackle, but good enough to keep investing in there. The interior of that line has to be better, and collectively they need to rise to a level where all of those skill position pieces, you didn't even mention Marquez Valdes-Scantling, whose speed can help open things up for the rest of the offense there as a third piece, can really kind of bring things together. So the skill talent is good enough. They just need to be able to have time to do what they're supposed to do, and that remains the biggest question with this team.
Final moments, Curtis Crabtree, Fox 13 in Seattle. Curtis, we talked about the arrival of DeMarcus Lawrence on the defensive side of the ball, including him. What is the thought on the Seahawks defense?
I think there's a lot of excitement on that side of the ball because you saw some high-end potential from the unit last year in Mike McDonald's first season as head coach here, and then you bring in a DeMarcus Lawrence to add to that mix. Nick Emanwari in the second round there, as a safety prospect to kind of be a big nickel kind of chess piece for them. He's similar size to Cam Chancellor, but it's not quite the same build as he's a little bit leaner. I think he's a little bit more on the corner side than the safety side as a comparison there, but I think they're excited about his potential for the future. But getting Ernest Jones back was a big deal because the defense really took off after getting him in trade last year from Tennessee. And defensively, on the defensive line, they're actually pretty deep. I mean, Leonard Williams is a terrific player. Probably should have got some more Defensive Player of the Year votes last year. Lawrence adds to that mix. Byron Murphy in his second season. Jaron Reed there. A couple edge rushers, younger edge rushers, and Boye Mafi and Derek Hall that can do things from time to time. It's a pretty deep unit on the line of scrimmage there. And there's potential on that side of the ball, and that's what Mike McDonald hangs his hat on, is his defensive acumen as a coach. So I think there's a lot to like about that group there to be able to be productive and give the offense enough support to be able to get enough out of that side of the ball to be really competitive.
Curtis, as we begin to wrap up and talking to people around the division this week, I think the Rams might be a slight favorite going in, but then there's a lot of questions about number 2, right? If it's LA1, Arizona, San Francisco, and Seattle all look pretty good on paper. Where would you talk about the Seahawks being in that division right now?
I think the whole division is kind of up for grabs. I would agree that the Rams are probably in that pole position, just given off the way they ended last season. If you want to make a case for San Francisco, it's the fact that they have the easiest strength of schedule in the league coming off the year they had last year. And certainly we know the talent's there, but it's an aging roster that was going to have to pay the bill for all their runs for the Super Bowl here in recent memory. And, whether they can bounce back and actually be healthy again or not, or if the age issue of that roster is going to continue to be a problem, we'll see. And I'm still not a full believer in Brock Purdy at all either, and they gave him a massive contract now, which changes kind of the paradigm of what their roster looks like. Arizona's got a good defense. I don't trust Kyler Murray to get them really anywhere to where they want to go in the big picture. I think the rest of the division's kind of up for grabs. I can see a path forward for just about all of them, and I can see a path where it kind of goes sideways for them. So I think it's going to be an interesting division. I don't think it's going to be the best division out there this year by any means, but I think it's kind of just a real grab bag as to what's going to come out and shake loose out here in the west side of the country here this upcoming fall.
And again, the AFC South plays the NFC West, so we will welcome the Seattle Seahawks down here to Jacksonville. I believe that's in week 6 of the NFL regular season. Our guy up in Seattle is Curtis Crabtree, Fox 13 in Seattle. Curtis, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time, and we'll talk again when the Seahawks make that cross-country flight to Jacksonville at the beginning of October.
Sounds good. Take care.
Some people call it Jax. Some call it the First Coast. We call it the place that we all call home. 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental with light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
At IHRS, we're passionate about solving your hair loss. We're clients too. With the latest hair transplant technology, FDA-approved laser hair therapy, and PRP, we guarantee solutions for both men and women. Call now for a free consultation and receive $250 off. Hair restoration is for me, and it can be for you too. Go to hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
Hey, Hicken here, and you know I'm going to talk about skin. Yeah, it's hot outside, folks. The oven is on. Temps are in the 90s, and it's only getting hotter. I love the summer, but my skin doesn't. I do my best with dry-fit shirts, big floppy hats, plenty of water. My secret weapon, though, the screen. Sunscreen. I use it regularly. Maybe you should as well. Look, I've also been seeing docs at Beaches Dermatology for years, and my skin thanks me for it. I'm telling you, it could save your life. Book your appointment today at beachesdermatology.com.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Loggeman, and we bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y, summer camps every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Hey, Hicken here for my friends at Zero Res. They want to help you clean your home or business. Big summer savings with 3 rooms clean starting at $129 and 20% off your air duct cleaning. Call them 904-287-5727 and ask for the 1010XL special.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
When the heat is on and we really need to show that we really care, do it with a full arrangement from Kuhn Flowers. This is ET, and let's make their day better than yesterday. Online at KuhnFlowers.com since 1947.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
June is Men's Health Month. Be proactive towards your prostate, ED, low T, even kidney stones with Ackerman Urology. Offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, the Beaches, and World Golf Village. Trust the men's health experts at AckermanUrology.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, you look at that calendar, it is hard to believe we are coming to the end of June. We are 3 weeks away from SEC Media Days, and we are now officially inside of 2 months until the start of the college football season. I know somebody that's very happy about that. My buddy Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News, and we're lucky enough to have him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Well, my friend, good to be on with you at to add to what you said about how important the calendar is going to be. We are less than 3 weeks away from SEC Media Days. We are next week. Phil Steele's magazine will be out around July the 4th, and the biggest thing of all is on July the 1st will be the first installation of the payments from the House versus Nation settlement. Now, real quick, what's going to happen with that is not only the money that we're dealing with, we're also dealing with 3 or 4 real major issues that they're going to have to decide, frankly, either before July 1st or shortly thereafter. And they are we going to have 1 or 2 portals? We've got one in December. We've got one in April. The other one is and this is going to be a major change, but you and I have talked about this for, virtually decades now. The recruiting calendar is going to be changed, and frankly, the whole college football calendar has got to be changed, and it's going to be. And the thing I mean by that is recruiting is going to go from signing days in December and February to probably a signing day in June, July, August, or September. How about that? That's what we're heading for. And the other thing what we're heading for, this is more minor, but it's still going to be fascinating, is OTAs for college football teams, probably in May and June, a la what you see in the NFL. So how about that, Hank? So for the people who say there's not much going on this time of year in college football, that is not the case.
Yeah, it's a lot different than what it was a decade ago. There's seemingly news every week, every month, and even every day. And like we said, we're inside of 2 months until the start of the season. We're just over 2 months until Florida State, Alabama there at Doak Campbell Stadium at the end of August. And Brent, we already have some bulletin board material in that game. Now, I'm not the smartest guy on the earth, but I think Thomas Castellanos, the new quarterback there for Florida State, doing an On3.com interview when asked about Alabama, did he literally say they don't have Nick Saban to save them anymore, and he doesn't think Alabama can stop him?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Well, one of the absolute stupidest statements I've heard an athlete say in a long time. Now, here's your reality. If Thomas Castellanos had done anything at Boston College to back up a statement like that, I could understand it. He and Bill O'Brien, which is not hard to do, but he and Bill O'Brien were not on the best of terms, and that hurt him. Now, obviously, you've got Gus Malzahn at Florida State now, coming from Auburn and UCF. Gus likes dual threat guys. Can you do something with him? But and look, in the long run, this is not going to mean that much. But for this time of year, and when you're coming off a 2-10 season, Hank, the last thing you want to do is give your opponent any ammunition.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Yeah, all the Alabama social media, sports sites picked that up instantly, and that was all over Alabama social media in the last couple of days. Big game for Mike Norvell, Brent, and we've talked about that, and we'll continue that in a moment. But that's a big game for Kalen DeBoer, too, right? His first year in Tuscaloosa wasn't exactly a success. I'm not saying he's on the hot seat by any stretch of the imagination, but they are playing a 2-10 Florida State team. It is in Tallahassee, but that's a game I'm sure Alabama expects to go in there and win.
Yeah, they do. And one of the problems Kalen DeBoer had last year was Alabama did not play well when they were a double-digit favorite. Particularly against Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, with inexcusable losses, and give credit to both those teams for winning the game. Tennessee was the other loss in a game they really could have won too. No, he's not under any pressure. They've recruited really well. They've got a lot of guys coming back. They've kept a lot of guys. They brought in Grubb, who was with DeBoer to be the offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, who has played well with the media so far. Alabama's problem last year, in a nutshell, was Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe was just a very average poor quarterback at times, and then at other times, a la LSU, looked like he'd be a Heisman Trophy winner. But whoever ends up with the job, and I think it's probably going to be Ty Simpson, frankly, that they will be a much better football team this year than they were last year. But there's no doubt this is and I'm not saying the game's under the radar, But there's pressure on both these coaches in that game in Hack for different reasons.
It's an incredible opportunity for Florida State. Now, you look at their schedule, and it's hard. I mean, you got Alabama, Clemson, Miami, and Florida. I mean, they're going to be underdogs, big underdogs, in probably all 4 of those games. Let's say that they win one of those, I guess. That gets them to 3 losses, and you still got, traveling to Stanford. You got, I think, North Carolina State's on that schedule. I mean, it is a tough schedule to navigate for the Seminoles here in 2025.
And their problem is they've had real problems, such as you mentioned NC State. Raleigh has been a house of horrors for them over the years, and that's a real problem. But Hank, the reality is when you've got the month of November, and you've got 5 games in the month of November, and one of those is at Clemson, one of them's at Florida, that's where it could get really dicey at that point. Now, they have brought in some guys like Squirrel White from Tennessee, the wide receiver who was injured a lot when he was at Tennessee. They've also got Rodell Williams from Alabama, and they've also got Earl Little Jr. from Alabama that's going to help their secondary. Shaheem Brown, who you've mentioned many times on Friday Night Lights, a local kid, is their best player, I think, on defense, along with Daryl Jackson with that. But still, I mean, you basically got one guy coming back on offense, 5 guys coming back on defense, plus a tough schedule. I mean, heck, right now, after 2-10, if you were, I know they won't be happy with it. Would you sign a contract for 7-5 right now?
I would, absolutely. And like you mentioned, and I've talked about this a lot, 7-5 would be a monstrous improvement, obviously, over 2-10. But the Florida State fan base, Brent, you know as well as I do, would not be happy with 7-5. No. So they're in between a rock and a hard place, I think. A couple of more for Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, the Georgia Bulldogs, life after Carson Beck begins with them. Now, we know they have all the talent in the world on that roster. The question is, do we believe in the quarterback situation that Georgia's going to have this year?
Well, Gunnar Stockton did play a little bit last year, obviously, when Carson Beck went down, and then he went to Miami. But I think there's justified reason for optimism. But and still, the amazing thing is they won the league. They get in the playoffs. And people still think that the year was a disaster. I know a lot of teams would like to be able to do that, but I also get the consternation. What's going to be interesting is the receivers have got to be better. They dropped 30 passes last year. Dylan Bell comes back. Zechariah Branch comes back. Noah Thomas transferred from A&M. So that's going to help them. Drew Bobo, who is Mike Bobo, the offense coordinator's son, is the center, and I think he'll be okay. Oscar Depp comes back, Lawson Lucky at tight end. So that, I mean, and Nate Frazier is a good running back. I mean, they've really got talent, obviously, on the offensive side of the ball. You've got Christian Miller coming back on the line, C.J. Allen at linebacker, Dalen Everett in the secondary, K.J. Bolden, who has a lot of promise too. I mean, to your point that there is, Hank, there's a lot of promise, but on the other hand, when would you have ever seen in September for Georgia at Tennessee a week off, and then they've got Alabama at that point, and they've got some sticky games coming up too. At Auburn, Ole Miss, and Florida, nothing's going to be easy in Athens, is the heck.
No, not at all. And look, I mean, the land of NIL, the land of the transfer portal, I don't think you're going to see the domination that we've seen that Georgia had over the last 5 or 6 years. And I think it's really going to be affected, and we've talked about this, Brent. You talk about depth on these football teams. There was a time where Georgia could sustain injury after injury, and another 5-star would come in off the bench. that's not necessarily the case anymore with teams like that, because that 5-star that's not starting at Georgia has now left to go start at another SEC school.
Kirby talked about this virtually every week last year during the season, and people would ask him, what's your biggest challenge? And he said, starting in media days forward, was depth. They just didn't have the depth. And to your point, these guys who aren't playing, yes, they're going somewhere else. So, and hopefully we'll get some NCAA commissioner NIL guidelines to help us with that and guardrails. But that no longer exists. And again, to your point, they've got to be careful with Gunnar Stockton. Ryan Puglisi is not bad, but he's got obviously less experience than Gunnar Stockton. So, but they love Stockton. He fits the culture. I'm not saying Carson Beck didn't. But there are just a lot of things they like about Stockton, and they think he'll be okay. And he's got enough talent around him to where he may not be the water that lifts all the boats, but if he doesn't make mistakes, he should be fine.
Final moments with Brent Beard. Brent, as we wrap up, a quick thought on Miami. We'll do a deeper dive into the Hurricanes in the coming weeks, certainly. But Mario Cristobal, there was at least some chatter about him this time last year. He obviously put a lot of that to rest with a good season, although it ended pretty poorly for Miami. I know some people were upset at the way it ended for the Hurricanes. What is your outlook on Miami? And we know, I think 2 of their first 4 games are Notre Dame and Florida.
Yeah, that Notre Dame game is going to be big. I mean, obviously Carson Beck, if he's healthy, that's going to make a big deal. I mean, they get their second and third running backs, Fletcher and Lyle, come back. Martinez is going to the NFL. Their top 5 wide receivers are gone. That's an issue. 3 of the 5 starters in the offensive line. They got Brockemeyer from TCU, who was in Alabama. They think he's going to be pretty good. Reuben Bain comes back on the D-line. If he's healthy, that's going to be huge with them. Their number 1 linebacker is gone. They've got some portal guys. Also, now one of the things they did do, they got Van Spafford, who is from California. He's one of the top wide receivers. He won't be able to play this year, but next year got him away from Georgia, which is unusual. Look, they've got a new defensive coordinator. They needed to do that after last year. Their defense, and you mentioned this, frankly, was terrible in November, and that cost them 2 games. But one thing that's really puzzling about them, since Mario Cristobal has been there, look, I think Mario Cristobal is a good coach. He's a good recruiter. I don't think he's an elite coach at this point in his career. But Hank, have you noticed that pretty much every year, whether it's been at Oregon or at Miami, Mario Cristobal, they lose a game or 2 out of nowhere. It's just inexplicable how they've lost some games like to Georgia Tech and so forth over the last few years. So can he stay away from doing that this year?
Yeah, that's the question. That Georgia Tech game and, of course, the Syracuse game at the end of the year cost them a chance there at the college football playoff. We'll do, again, a deep dive in Miami, Georgia, Florida State. Florida is, again, we're just about 2 months away. In fact, less than 2 months. I didn't realize, Brent, another trip to Dublin, Ireland for college football. I believe it's a Big 12 game. Iowa State, Kansas State to kick off the year. That's not bad in week 0.
No, it's really not. I agree with that. And there's something to keep your eye on. And we talked about changes a few minutes ago. The other change that they're thinking about doing, and I think this is happening either this year or next year, or next year or the year after that, is week 0 is going to be week 1. They're moving the schedule up a week. And I guess they'll get rid of week 0, maybe rename it something else. to be able to keep the Dublin, Ireland thing going. But that's something to look to would be to change the calendar again. And frankly, heck, if we go from 12 to 16, there are going to have to be some changes, aren't they?
Yeah, there will be.
So that's going to be important. Again, we may see week 0 go away, or they may just combine it and do something else. I'm not real thrilled about playing football, as far as particularly for fans in mid-August, but changes are coming.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I was just sitting here thinking the Dublin game last year. You want to know how long a calendar year is? That Florida State Georgia Tech game seems like that was 3 years ago, and that was week 0 last year over in Dublin. Pretty wild. You get Brent Beard.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I'm sorry, that started the FSU downfall, didn't it, Hank?
It did. It was very obvious they couldn't stop the run, and they never did stop the run the rest of the year. Georgia Tech gashed them over there in Dublin, Ireland. You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, enjoyed it as always. Hard to believe the next time you and I talk, it will be the month of July, and we can officially say college football begins next month. Thank you as always, my friend.
Always, my friend. Take care.
And thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark, talking college recruiting, talking everything going on off the field as well. And again, hard to believe we are now well inside of 2 months until the college football season kicks off. Remember, there is a week 0 game on August the 23rd. Week 1 is August 30th. And SEC Media Days, less than 3 weeks away. ACC Media Days the week after that, as we are on the doorstep of the 2025 college football season. So appreciate Brent joining us tonight. We talked a lot of college athletics. We talked a lot of college basketball in relation to the NBA draft. Walter Clayton Jr. goes to Utah. The Orlando Magic draft Jace Richardson out of Michigan State. The second round ongoing right now. So we certainly spent some time on round number 1 of the NBA draft. Our NFC West preview continued tonight as well, as we were out in Seattle talking about the Seattle Seahawks, their brand new quarterback Sam Darnold, their brand new wide receiver Cooper Kupp, and how the Seahawks offseason has gone. And of course, we're never going to get too far away from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Training camp for them now inside of a month away. Well, that will just about do it, man. It has been a very, very busy Thursday night edition here of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to my buddy Jordan DeLugo of Generation Jaguar for joining us to talk a little Jaguars, preview training camp and such. Curtis Crabtree out in Seattle. He's my guy when it comes to the Seahawks, Fox 13 out in Seattle. We thank Curtis for his time. And Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel covering the Orlando Magic. Appreciate Jason taking time out in what is a very busy couple of days for Jason with the Magic and the NBA draft. Now, tomorrow, a little bit of a change. I will be on here, Hacker After Dark, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock like normal. I'll also be on with Lauren Brooks from noon to 2 tomorrow. Looking forward to that. So noon to 2 tomorrow, and then right back here on Hacker After Dark tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And we do hope that you join us then. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, welcome back. Glad you had fun in Denver, my friend. Glad to have you back. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Thursday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Welcome